Hi, Sam. You're on Chewed Gum with Thomas and Alyssa.
Yeah. So I called in a few months ago. I'm an agnostic deist, and I'm the Marxist guy, if you remember.
Oh, I remember you being in the chat last week, maybe, and you were trying to get through. Is that right?
Yeah. So I haven't called in for a few months, and I've been trying to reach for a few months, but I wasn't able to. So I don't know how this is going to go.
Well, let's see. What are we calling for?
Okay. So if the screener sent the title is "Religion is Necessary."
Yep. Tell us why, and tell us which religion, and tell us what religion is.
First of all, okay, so there's a lot to say, and so I will say this: it's I don't care what religion someone's a part of. I'm not a part of any religion, as long as they believe in a higher power, as long as they believe in anything spiritual. So it's not a specific religion. It's any religion.
If they believe in a religion with a higher power that tells them that they should kill people once a week for blood sacrifice?
Well, I mean, there are exceptions to everything, but like what I'll say is on that. I mean, me personally, like human sacrifice, the Aztecs did. In that specific circumstance, I would say I don't care what their religion says. I think they shouldn't be allowed to do that.
So do you care more that people believe something that is true or that people believe religion?
Well, this might be a longer call, but I would say, actually, I was going to get to that, but this is going to be controversial. But even if like that's hypothetically religion is not true, my goal is the utility of religion. So even if it's not true, I still think people should live their lives as if it is true.
It'll probably be a very short call if that's your argument, but we can have that conversation.
We can have the conversation.
Because as I just pointed out, so I'm an atheist. I live my life without religion, and I don't commit blood sacrifice once a week. But you're saying it would be better that I believe a God exists and potentially cause harm in the name of that religion than to instead focus on what I think is true or not. I'm asking specific questions. So there's not a lot to unpack. It's just, Sam, if you interrupt me, I'm going to just go ahead and end the call because we're already toward the end of the night. Okay. So there's not a lot to unpack. It's just that each questions that we ask you, you just have to answer them. We don't have to unpack a lot. Just answer the questions.
Okay, I'll answer the question. Well, first of all, there's you're just picking like the worst case scenario someone can believe in. And I'm saying in most cases, if it helps, I'll add the qualifier as long as they believe in a religion that doesn't directly harm people.
Okay, I think I can argue religions that all religions harm.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and also, I guess Marxism has a view of religion, but because you said some things about Marxism last time, I think you may have some misconceptions about it. But most Marxists are atheists, and I happen to be one that's not an atheist.
I don't know which of us you're talking to right now. I haven't said anything about Marxism ever on air, but
my apologies. It was you, promise. And let me ask you a question.
I've never talked about Marxism on air, so I'm very sure of this. But are we calling? But Sam, are we going to answer the questions, or did you want to just call in about Marxism?
Well, it was mostly about religion, but part of it a little bit about Marxism. But with religion, like I said, I answered your question, which is as long as the religion doesn't directly harm people, I have no problem if they
decides what is harmful and what isn't.
Well, I mean, there's objective ways you can measure harm, like whether someone dies because of it or whether someone is injured because of it and stuff. But if you're talking about in an abstract way that it harms people, then we can have that discussion.
But what if somebody believes that there is a God that says it is not harmful to kill people? They go straight to heaven, and it's the best thing you can do is to kill people because it sends them to heaven. And therefore, you're actually helping them versus harming them.
Okay, like I said, if we're talking about real physical harm, I'm willing to make an exception to that. That's my answer.
So
What
you're
about
basically
psychological?
I'm not an absolutist. Are you there?
Alyssa, you
Yes.
cut out for a second. What did you say?
I said, what about psychological harm?
Psychological harm. Well, I would say that is kind of subjective.
No, actually, we can measure a lot of that. But I'm really concerned. Is your method for determining whether a religion should be followed, whether it's harmful or not, or whether it's true or not? Because I only want to believe things and follow things that are true. I do not want to believe lies, and I do not want to participate in things that are not based in reality.
Oh, okay. Well,
So is
probably
it
it's not
because
toward
to
you.
me, so far what we've heard is, well, if I say I think something is harmful, then you shouldn't practice it. But if I say I think a religion is good, then you should practice it. And that's
Okay,
not a
let
good
me
reason
make an
for me.
argument. Okay, let me make an argument against atheism. My argument against atheism.
No, Sam. Do you know what the best argument against atheism would be? Evidence that there are any gods that exist and a reason to believe. So there's don't make an argument against atheism. That's like making an argument against a shadow or something. Like atheism is just a lack of belief. So instead,
if you want me to talk about religion,
tell me, no, I just want you to answer the questions. Tell me why we should believe that a God exists, because the only reason I would ever participate in religion is if a God exists.
Okay, well, first of all, when it comes to me, there's a difference between knowing if there's a God and believing in a God. And I think there's a strong chance and a strong probability that there's a God. Therefore, I believe, but I admit that I don't know for sure. That's why I'm an agnostic theist.
Cool. I'm an agnostic atheist, so we're halfway there. Why should we practice religion if we don't know that it's 100% true? When I can just live my life as an atheist and practice secular humanism and not have to believe things that are potentially untrue.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. Well, there's a lot of reasons. Well, when it comes, I think atheism, in my opinion, inevitably leads to nihilism, and nihilism leads to apathy.
Sam, I just said that we're not going to do the atheism argument because this is what's going to end the call. It doesn't lead. I know more atheists that are not nihilists than atheists that are. So that already is not a helpful argument. So just because you don't like something, just because you don't like the philosophy of it, just because you don't like the outcome of it, doesn't make it true or not. And I've let you know that our standard is something that's true or not. So I need to understand like why we should practice this when you've just asserted things that aren't true so far. Atheism does not lead to nihilism. And even if somebody is nihilistic, that doesn't necessarily equal harm. I'm actually very nihilistic. By the way, guys, I have a new album coming out called Contemplations for Nihilists. But here's the thing. I don't cause harm. In fact, I like to think that I'm actively working to reduce harm.
Okay. Well, first of all, I know you don't want to talk about the atheism thing, but when it comes to nihilism, you and also the other guy, I forgot his name. He's a biologist, whatever his name is. He was on the show.
You don't want to do this, Sam.
Okay, but the last thing I'll say about this is that you and Forrest are examples of how atheism leads to nihilism. And second of all, I think I fundamentally disagree that nihilism is not harmful. I actually think nihilism is more dangerous than religious.
What harm am I causing?
The harm, I mean, you as a person, you may be a good person, but overall nihilist, it's the belief system, which is that there's no objective morality and all morality is arbitrary.
There isn't. But Sam, there isn't objective morality. That doesn't mean that you cannot practice an objective within a moral framework, but there is no objective morality. You would have to prove that there's an objective source for that morality. This is why I'm telling you the way that you're going about this conversation is not, we're just going to have to move on soon, because you trying to like sneak around back to atheism, it's a lack of belief. So the best way for you to argue against atheism is to prove that I have reason to believe a God exists.
Okay, well, with me, like I said before, I don't know for sure that God exists. I just think there's a high possibility. And one of the arguments I would use is, I guess what's the cosmological argument, that everything has a beginning, and something can't come from nothing.
How do you know that everything has a beginning? And if that's the case, then why does this God not have a beginning?
Okay. Well, first of all, the creator, or whatever you want to call this being, is beyond space and time.
How do you know that? Why can't the universe have part of itself that's beyond space and time, and it created itself? Or why can't the universe have always existed in some form or another?
Okay, so I just think it's not the same with the universe, because this being is more powerful than the universe.
How do you know that? Why is there a being? Why do we think there's a being? You're just asserting.
You keep saying no. You keep saying, how do I?
Because you're just presupposing something.
I'm saying, I think there's a strong possibility.
We're more interested in what is the truth. There's a strong possibility that every time I get into a car, I'll get into a car accident, and I still get into a car. It's like, I don't know, if we're talking about strong possibilities, that doesn't mean truth. Those are not the same.
You're looking for certainty. That's the problem.
No. We're just looking for truth, Sam. I'm not going to believe in an entire God if I don't have a good reason to. In that case, you should believe in my pink unicorn. She's the best God that anybody could ever presuppose, and I don't know why you don't believe in her.
Because there are some beings that are more believable than others.
She is the most believable by far.
Well, I mean, I know you don't believe in like the testimonies of the Bible and about a God and stuff, but there's way more evidence that there's a possibility that
Absolutely
there is a creator God.
If we go to an elementary school right now and talk to the little girls there about pink sparkly unicorns, I'm telling you, more of them believe in the pink sparkly unicorn goddess that I know than believe in God. So those testimonies to me are more relevant because they're here and now, and they're not like made up 2,000 years ago.
Okay, I apologize for being difficult in this call, but I'm not trying to. But so the thing is, it's ultimately the reason why I think people should believe in religion is because of the utility of it. That's fundamentally why.
I don't think there's any utility to it. And I don't think that that's a good reason to believe in something, because there's more utility to believing in my pink unicorn goddess than there is to believing in any of your religions. So.
Okay. About religious extremism, I know you're against that, but are you against extremism overall, like religious extremism, political extremism?
You'd have to define what those things are in that context. I'm against people causing harm to others.
Okay. I'm sure you would agree that extremism mostly causes harm to others.
Unless it's extreme kindness, and then not really.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right about that. But I would say that when it comes to religious extremism, because we're talking about religion, I would consider you the mere opposite of that, which is an atheist extremist, someone who is an absolutist in their atheism.
Sam, did you hear what I said at the beginning of this call about me being an agnostic atheist?
Well, I mean, what you say and everything, it seems that when it comes to your opposition toward religion, because that's what you say, you're against religion, that you have an absolutist view against religion. Like religion, you see, in my opinion, it seems that you think religion is always bad.
I think religion is more bad than it is good, and therefore it's not helpful and it's not beneficial to society. I don't think that we need it. Do I think that some people it ends up helping them? Yeah, I think so. Do I think that they could get the help that they receive from religion from better and more real sources? Yes, absolutely. There is nothing religion offers that is good that the real world doesn't offer, and oftentimes better.
Okay. I'm sorry if I'm interrupting, but I would say, what about people who are religious, who, like someone who was addicted to drugs and they became religious, and then they're no longer drug addicts? Like that, even if you don't believe in religion, like that shows a utility.
No, because then what happens if they someday have doubt in their faith and they think, oh my God, I don't think there is a God, and they start doing drugs again?
I mean, I don't think that happens all the time. That might be rare, but when it comes
all
to
the time,
religion,
I hear from people with that issue weekly, and I refer them to the Sober Coach, who's amazing and an atheist, and there's other organizations that offer rehab services that are not linked to religion because of that being an issue. You're replacing one addiction with another. But I want to give Alyssa a chance. I want to give Alyssa a chance to ask you some questions before we move on, because I think that we're just so all over the place, and maybe Alyssa can wrap this up for us.
My main thing is that I think where we're losing the plot with comparing atheism and theism is by making it sound like we're choosing into atheism out of spite or hatred or whatever. It's out of what is true and what we have, based on all of the information that we have. So I think where we find positivity and safety and consolation in atheism is knowing that there's no hole to poke in atheism. There's nothing to no rug you could pull out from under me in it. It just is what is true. I don't have to actually defend atheism. Like it just is. And to jump through hoops to defend these religions, to say that they're beneficial when there are plenty of ways to support somebody who's an addict, support somebody who's going through a tough time mental health wise. Like there's a reason why in most therapy practices, they're not going to talk about religion, because there's a way to approach all of that has nothing to do with it. Like we have found so many ways to create healthy, functional societies that don't depend on religion. So to feel the need to defend it so intensely, I would really need proof, not only that it's true, but that it's really that beneficial. Because over and over again, the line has existed as a community. Like this community of content creators have existed on the internet for years, and none of us have been convinced otherwise. And many continue to say, even if you do show me that there is a God and that is true, you would have to do an entire other song and dance to show me that this is a good person. So I don't know. I don't really think there is benefit in it.
Alyssa, what I would say, since you were talking about, atheism or using the word atheism, I would say that atheism, the definition of it is simply that the belief that there's no God or gods.
Nope, that's not the definition of atheism, Sam. It is a disbelief in the existence of gods. Yep, disbelief.
Okay.
It is not a positive claim.
Yeah.
Some atheists make positive claims. I don't really know any of those. Most of us just simply don't believe in a God. Like I don't believe in all kinds of other things. Yep.
Okay, a disbelief. Probably I worded that wrongly. Okay, it's the definition is that it's a disbelief of any gods or gods. And what I'm saying is that's actually not unique to atheism. Buddhism doesn't believe in a creator god or any gods. So by that definition, Buddhism would be atheist.
Yes, a lot of my Buddhist friends are atheists. They practice non-theistic religion.
Okay, so I have to go in a few minutes, but to wrap things up, what I would say is my disagreements with non-belief or whatever you want to call it, is that one, I do think it inevitably leads to nihilism. I think it's the logical conclusion of non-belief, and also I think it doesn't have any objective morality. And by the way, even if people could derive some benefit, not from religion, from like non-religious things, I fundamentally don't think it's good enough. I don't think it's sufficient enough. I just think religion is better for that.
I don't know if Alyssa has any more questions. So far, I still just heard you saying, I don't think, or this or that, but you didn't give me reason to why I should believe you. So yeah, I don't know. It sounds mostly, Alyssa's muted. Hang on. Let me let her ask what she was.
I agree. And I think that we could go back and forth anecdotally and find ways where religion has been helpful and not helpful to people. I can also find, we could find statistics to show that religion is helpful and not helpful to people too. I mean, people are welcome to believe the things that they want to believe and whatever. But I don't think that any part of what you've brought to the call today has changed has swayed anyone. I don't think.
Alyssa,
I think there's
Alyssa, in my opinion, it seems that both of you are looking for like certainty. That's what it seems like.
No, Sam, we're looking for truth, because here's the problem. Just like what Alyssa just said, you can sit here and tell us about some amazing theists that have done great things and how theism was a helpful thing. And then we can tell you about some atheists that have done amazing things and have been, helpful throughout history. And then we can tell you about some religious people that have caused immense amounts of harm in the name of religion, using religion as their excuse to do so. And then you can tell us about some atheists that have caused immense amounts of harm and used atheism as their excuse to do so. So we can go back and forth. So you know what I decide to prioritize? Truth. I want to believe things that are true. I don't want to believe things that are not true, because you can cause harm either way. So I would like to
last thing I'm gonna
not. Sam, are you even listening to us?
Okay, sorry, continue.
I'm going to just let you finish, because I'm not going to keep talking if you're not listening. So what's your last thing, and then we'll move on.
Okay. Well, first of all, one question is, first of all, I have a habit of interrupting. I apologize for that. But do you think I can call in next time? That's my first question.
You can call in anytime. I don't think your issue is the interrupting. I think it's that you need to be listening instead of thinking of what you're going to say next.
Okay. Now, the final thing I'm going to say is I know that you say you're looking for truth and stuff, but I'm kind of a consequentialist for the most part. And I believe that, if revealing the truth leads to negative outcomes, then I don't think revealing the truth is a good thing, in my opinion. So I don't believe, me personally, I don't believe, look, truth is important. I admit it, it's important, but it's, for me, it's not the highest good. That's just a fundamental disagreement.
I don't think it's the highest good either. I think it's my best bet at figuring out what reality is. And then I can determine what I think is good within the confines of reality. So we have to start somewhere, though. And I like to build my foundation of living on things that are true. So you are welcome to call back. You can call Matt tomorrow night if you want. He has his show, and you can ask him about
it. You should talk to Matt. Well, I think that would be a really interesting conversation.
No offense. Sorry, no offense. But he has a bad temper. I kind of think he's an asshole, to be honest.
Honestly, if you told him that, he would probably agree with you.
He's been doing
so I'm
this
not
for
gonna
so
talk
many
with him.
years, and he's dealt with people calling in and being dishonest and not answering his questions or interrupting or not listening or all of those things. So I get it. And but he's also extremely brilliant. And I think if you were to call and you were to present your argument succinctly and explain what you think, then you're going to get a real response from him, and that might be beneficial to you.
Sure.
Also, you've got Forrest on Sunday night. You can call, and he's he's a bit more on the friendly side, but he is a nihilist, so be careful.
I think also with Matt, he also, like Promise said, just to echo that, I've seen him take phone calls and be extremely calm and extremely kind. It really is in the way that you approach it. And so if you are to have a conversation with Matt, if you do so and you are listening to his responses and really being thoughtful about how you reply to him, you're not going to get the side of Matt that you are concerned about.
I'm glad we have this conversation. It was fun.
Good. I'm so glad.
Thanks for calling, Sam. You can
All right.
you can call back.
Goodbye.
Okay, bye.
Okay.
I don't know how I feel about that call at all.
I don't know either.
Hey guys, thanks for watching that last clip on Chewed Gum. You can catch us live Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Central Time. And please tell your Christian friends to give us a call and let us know why they believe in God. You can also support us by commenting, liking, and subscribing, and head over to patreon.com/calltheline.